our college. I hope you have got the introductory lecture yesterday. I welcome you all on behalf of Malini Kishore Sangvi College of Commerce and Economics. So a warm welcome to our Fyjc students. Yes, this is Secretarial Practice Lecture taken by itself Professor Pratima. I will be taking your SP lecture. This is our government textbook which all of you need to buy. For the lectures, you need to have this textbook with you along with a pencil. Okay, so those who have the textbook, very good. Those who do not have the textbook, follow the lectures and get your textbook soon. Let us understand the contents of a textbook. We have 12 chapters in all. You can see the first chapter, Secretary, followed by Joint Stock Company. Then we have formation of a company, then documents related to company formation, then all about the members of the company. And this is a new chapter, that is directors and key managerial personnel of a company, followed by company meetings part 1 and company meetings part 2.
We have business communication skills of secretary, correspondence with directors, banks and statutory authorities.
Then we have answer keys, but answer keys we will not see now, okay? So in all we have 12 chapters. Now due to pandemic situation, certain portion or syllabus is omitted by HSC board. So after the chapter is done, you will be getting the markings of the self-study topics and also the omitted topics. So do not worry about it. Wait for your teacher's instruction for secretarial practice subject. Now let us understand our first chapter, that is secretary. This is our first chapter. Now you have taken the subject secretarial practice. The word itself, we get the word secretary, right? Secretary means what? Someone who helps, someone who makes us remind our things, someone who will help us to make us remember all the important issues that we need to pay attention to, right? So let us understand the contents of this chapter. That is, first is origin, then we'll see the meaning and definition, features, importance is given as self-study. I will let you know about it. Then we have the types, function, qualities, and the distinction. So these are the things that we are going to learn in our first chapter. Now, origin of secretary. In the olden days, if you see, the secretary had the work of writing and they were using typewriters. Yes. So, before understanding the origin of secretary, I will introduce to you about secretarial practice. The person doing secretarial work will function for the company where he has joined. He will work for different officers. The decisions taken by the management will be followed by the secretary. Now, in today's time, if we see, the companies have developed to such an extent that you require highly professional people in every field. So secretary is also one of an important person in an organization. Okay, so here in the 19th century, persons who were involved in daily correspondence and activities related to finance had assumed the title of secretary. So people who were dealing about finance, writing letters in an organization were called as secretary. So secretary, the three Latin words for secretary is secretarium, secretus and secretarius. Now secretum and secretus means secrets,
whereas secretarius means
someone who works for a person of great importance. So understand that the word secretary was derived from the Latin words secretum, secretus and secretarius. These words are important for your objective type of questions. It is on page number 1 of your textbook, very below. Yes, the last paragraph of the textbook. Please mark it with a pencil. All these words are very, very important because they are asked in the exam. Now, in Roman times, during the olden times, the Roman times, the secretary was also called as scribe. Now, who is a scribe? He is a professional letter writer or one who maintains confidential records. So, during the Roman times, you can see the picture of a Roman period over here. The person appointed as a secretary was called as scribe, and he was a confidential record-keeping person. So he was a professional letter writer. During the ancient Indian history, we had kings and their ministers. So during the ancient Indian history, the secretary was termed as Amatya, Sachiva, and Chitnis. Please remember these three names during the ancient Indian history. This is on your page number 2 at the top paragraph of your textbook. Okay, so we discuss about Roman times, we discuss about ancient Indian history. Yes, the secretary was an important person who would take care about the person where he was appointed and for whom he was working. Thus, secretary means, in the original Latin language, former names of secretary were secretarius. He was a confidential writer or officer with whom secrets are entrusted by employer. Entrusted means given trust to, and employer to whom the person is appointed. Like the employer is a person who appoints the secretary. So the secretary is working for the employer. In Roman Empire, secretary was called as scribe, which means a professional letter writer or one who maintains confidential records. Now, in ancient Indian history, the secretary was called as Amatya Sachiva Chitnis, a person who does secretarial work. Now you can see this box in your textbook on page 2. So mark it important because it is asked in objectives. Now there is a little additional information also. We had Sir Isaac Pitman. In 1870, he founded a school where students could qualify as professional writers. So he made a school and he trained them and he made them write professional letters. Okay. So in 1888, with the invention of typewriters, the role of secretary also increased. Now people were getting trained in the school, they required jobs, and since they were professionally qualified, the secretary's role also increased. Okay, so in an effort to promote professionalism, the National Secretaries Association was created in 1942 in the USA, that is United States of America. Please mark and underline the things as I have marked on this slide. Later, a special Secretary's Day was created, which would be in the last week of April. This week is now known as Administrative Professionals Week. So this is an additional information given to us in our textbook. We should be aware of it. Okay. Now, if you could see in the olden times, right? This was a typewriter, how the secretaries would type. Since you are the new generation, you may have seen a typewriter or not seen a typewriter. Hence, I have displayed this to you, how a typewriter works. Okay. So if you see the different types of typewriter which was used in the olden periods, yes, there were manual typewriters, then little advanced, antique, and then followed by electronic typewriters. If you could see them, they had lot of mechanism. Then this is the dial where the letters were there. When we type on the figures, how we have our laptop or desktop keyboard, similarly a typewriter also had keys on its base where every spelling would be manually typed and then it would get printed on the paper. Okay, so these were the different types of typewriters during the olden period. So now let us understand the meaning and definition of secretary. We understood about little origin of secretary. We saw the different types of typewriters. Now let us literally understand the meaning and definition. Now, there are various definitions of secretary. Some of them are as follows. Since the definition need to be as it is written in the paper, I have displayed it on the screen to you so that you can pay attention. The Oxford Dictionary defines a secretary as a person whose work is to write for others. What does the person do? His work is to write for others, especially one who is employed to conduct correspondence. So he is going to conduct correspondence. Conduct correspondence means writing letters. Then he will also keep records. Keeping records means he will write, he will keep a one copy for himself just to remember that what he had written. Because he is working for someone else, he need to keep record also. And to transact various other businesses for another person or for a society, corporation or public body. So here the secretary will be appointed or employed for either a society, corporation, a public body or for businesses, and his work will be to conduct correspondence. Correspondence means letter writing, to keep records and to transact various businesses. So this is the Oxford Dictionary definition. Now let us understand the Companies Act 2013, Section 2, subsection 24. It defines secretary as company secretary, or secretary means a company secretary as defined in clause C of subsection 1 of section 2 of the Company Secretaries Act 1980, who is, now here we have technical details of the law, okay, of the act, okay, and then the definition starts here, who is appointed by a company to perform the function of a company secretary under this act. So Companies Act 2013 tells us that he is a person appointed by a company to perform the function of company secretary. Whereas Oxford Dictionary gives a little elaborate definition. So the Company Secretary Act 1980 So Company Secretary Act 1980 also defines company secretary as a person who is a member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Now those who are aspiring to do CS in future, you will have to get in contact with Institute of Company Secretaries of India. So just to give a brief idea about it, this is the logo and the name of the institution. Now, from the definitions that we saw, it is stated that secretary is appointed to ensure smooth functioning of the organization and assist in various functions related to correspondence, meetings, record keeping, and any administrative work that the organization gives. Yes, so now here is the Institute of Company Secretary of India, the logo and the name, and this is the website of Institute of Company Secretary of India. So if you want more information, if you're aspiring to become CS, then you can log into this site and find out information about it, and you can explore this website and learn. Okay? Now, let us understand the features of secretary. We understood about the meaning, we understood about the definition, and we also understood about how the secretary's historical period was. Yes? Now we will learn about features of secretary. How a secretary have to be, like what will be his qualities. Qualities also we are going to learn, but let us understand features. When we say features, it means when we talk about secretary, so and so qualities need to be there in a secretary. Right? Firstly, the secretary need to be an individual. Individual means a person. When we talk about only personal secretary, only an individual alone can be appointed as a secretary and not firm, institution or corporate body. Okay, so only an individual, only a person. A firm is an institution is an organization, and corporate body is group of people together. All cannot work as a company secretary, right? So only one person can be appointed as a company secretary. He need to be an individual. He need to be a person, not an infrastructure, not a building. Okay? So he needs to be a person. Now a secretary has to be an individual as per the provisions of the company law, and also due to the skills required to fulfill the duties and responsibilities towards the employees. Here it means that the person, if appointed as a company secretary, need to have all the rules and regulations followed. He should be appointed as per his qualification. He need to have all the skills to fulfill his duties and responsibilities. He should have all the talents. He should have all the knowledge. He should have all the skills what are required to work as a company secretary. So he need to be a person, and he should be responsible towards his employers also. So wherever he is appointed, he need to be working for the organization. Okay. Now next we will see duties. A secretary has to perform routine and administrative duties, which such as correspondence, conducting meetings, maintaining records, providing information. So we saw this even in our definition, right? That he has to maintain records, he has to provide information to the employers, he will keep everything updated, he will conduct the meetings for his boss. Yes, so such clerical work of recording, fixing appointments, giving reminders to the boss, replying to employees' queries, all this work will be done by the secretary. It is his duty to do all this work. Yes, so these duties will depend upon the organization. If the organization is big, large, then the duties and responsibilities will also be higher. Yes, it will be more. Now, if the organization is very small, then the duties and responsibilities will also be different. So, it depends upon the organization where the secretary is appointed and where he is working. Okay, so the nature of work will depend upon the organization. Now, in recent times, the secretary also need to have legal knowledge. Yes, whatever legal problems or disputes are there in an organization need to be solved. So, a little knowledge or knowledge about the law need to be there with the secretary. So, let us talk about the qualification now. Yes, now every secretary must possess certain qualities and qualifications. Now, a person who is appointed as a company secretary in a public limited company need to have prescribed qualification. If you have the textbook, please underline that word prescribed qualification. It is the third point on page 3. Prescribed qualification means, as per the Companies Act 2013, whatever rules and regulations are maintained, that as per that, the secretary need to be qualified. Okay. Similarly, if a secretary is appointed in a government department, then he need to have qualifications as per government rules and regulation. So it totally depends upon the organization. Like if the organization is big, government types or private types, then the rules and regulations, the qualifications, the nature of work of a secretary will depend. Okay. Now, we will talk about appointment of secretary. This is the next feature of the secretary. Now, the secretary can be appointed by individuals, means one person is appointing someone as a secretary to help him in his work. Secondly, professionals. Professionals like doctors, lawyers, society corporation, government, public organization, joint stock companies, all this can appoint a secretary. See, even in your building, you have a secretary. Wherever you stay, there is a person who will take care of entire society. He will act as a secretary. He will have the power and authority. I know that you must be seeing Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma. So there, Professor Bhide acts as a secretary for the Gokuldham Society. Yes or no? So you must have seen that serial. So how he is always worried about maintenance bills, how he always behind Jethalal to pay the maintenance bills, right? So secretary's job is to see that everyone does their work properly and he reports to the head where he is appointed. So here we spoke about appointment of secretary. Now, a secretary can be a personal secretary or can be an institutional secretary. So, wherever the secretary is appointed, he needs to be paid. He needs to get his salary. Yes, so a secretary is a paid employee of the organization. So this is our next feature, that he is a paid employee of the organization. So secretary is either given a salary or paid an honorarium. Although secretary is paid employee, yet the secretary holds an important position in the organization. Now just imagine Gokuldham Society without Mr. Bhide. So then what will happen? Somebody will not pay the water bill, somebody will not pay the maintenance bill, and the society will be in chaos. So even if a secretary is a paid employee in an organization, his position is very, very important. Okay. Now, the secretary is also a confidential officer. Why? Because he keeps all the secrets of the organization with him. Yes, and he is custodian of secret information. The officer tells the secretary about whatever are the future plans and policies in an organization. The secretary will implement them only according to the employer's wish. Yes, so he is a custodian of secret information. Also, now he also acts as a representative of the organization. Like for Gokulam Society, we have Mr. Bhide, right? So similarly, any secretary working in any organization is a representative of that organization. When there are big meetings, when there are seminars or symposium, then the secretary can be sent for such workshop on behalf of the organization. So secretaries are generally of two types, that is personal secretary and institutional secretary. Now, secretaries appointed by individuals are known as personal secretaries, and these secretaries represents their employees, whereas institutional secretaries are appointed by societies, companies, government departments, and they represent their organization. Lastly, we will talk about qualities of secretary. Yes, now the qualities of secretary. Firstly, can a secretary be accurate? He has to be. He cannot put any errors, right? He is writing business letters. So the secretary need to be very accurate in his work. There should be accuracy in his work, in maintaining records, in writing letters, in recording minutes. Now, minutes are not the minutes of the watch, okay? Minutes are written statements in the company meeting are recorded in a book called as minutes book, and about it I will disclose later. So secretary needs to be very accurate in his work. Next is adaptability. The secretary needs to be adaptable as per the changing situation. He needs to change his plans and policies. He also needs to be very cooperative in his organization. He cannot be a rigid person. He cannot be rude. Yes, he has to be courteous, kind and polite. And if he creates this impression, then the employees also work in harmony with the secretary, which will be beneficial to the organization. The secretary should also have initiativeness, that is, first person to take initiative action to carry out any work. So the decision power of acting on any work should be there within the secretary. He should act as a leader for any job or any task. Yes, he should inspire, advise, guide, and motivate his subordinates to carry out the work. This will help to bring team spirit among the employees. He should be loyal to his organization. He should have orderliness, work as per the schedule and timetable that he frames, and he should follow it. Also, he should have a great pleasing personality, which will create a good impression, and people will be able to work and help, and they can work in harmony for the organization. So he should deal every situation in a calm way, so that there is willingness to accept any challenges or situation in an organization. He should always also have great punctuality in himself. He should be a knowledge seeker. He should be a knowledge seeker, and he should be able to get more knowledge which will be beneficial for the organization, like knowledge about different laws, about the Companies Act, about the Employees Act, about the Stamp Act, about Income Tax Act, about Labours Act. So all this knowledge he should have. Also, he should have sound judgment about the decisions that he takes. Okay, and he should be very tactful person to handle any situation in a right manner. So here the secretary will be able to handle all the situations in an organization in a great nice manner if he has all the qualities of the secretary. Now here I complete with the qualities of secretary and features of secretary. Now qualities is the last topic, which is on page 8 and 9 of your textbook. Now students, I have to tell you, thank you for watching patiently and listening. Also, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I will be putting up videos for Fyjc